Hello, and welcome to chapter 5. This week we are covering chapter 5. I hope you're doing well. Just to answer a few questions that I've had via email this week. This week you have exam number 2 is due, and assignment exercise or assignment number 5 or from chapter 5 is due. So two things due this week. Remember, exam number 2 and the assignment for chapter 5 is also due this week. Do not forget that. Now, chapter 5 is on brand marketing and governing the sovereign consumer. It's a short but very important chapter of our text, and influences. It talks a lot about the influences marketers and brand ambassadors have on what we consume. This chapter can be said to cover this question: why do you eat what you eat? Is it because you were influenced by some advertisement, some marketer, or is it because you just like it? And how did you get to like it? So if you look at the second part of the title, governing the sovereign consumer, it talks about consumers are supposed to be sovereign, independent, make the decisions you want to make your own decisions, make your own choices. If you get into a shop, if you get out to buy, whatever you go out to buy, it should be based on what you like. But are you buying that because it's an independent decision, or are you buying that because you have been influenced by some advertisement, some consumer related advertisement, or some branding? Are you manipulated, or are you empowered to make your own decision? Is the consumer manipulated, or is the consumer empowered to make their own self-decision? So the chapter, though short, is strategic in examining the growth of certain brands in the United States. For example, Coca-Cola. It starts by talking about microbreweries for example, in Portland, Oregon, right? It starts by talking about microbrewery in Portland, Oregon, and how this particular beer has grown to become the 5th largest producer of beer in the United States. But it started just locally. It was a local favorite. But was it a local favorite because it was heavily advertised? No. Was it a local favorite because they had brand ambassadors? No. It was a local favorite because it was locally produced and it was cheap. And those who consumed that beer had the feeling of, we are one, this is ours, this is our beer, so they consumed it. People tattooed it on their body. People made it theirs. But was it as a result of branding? In that particular case, no. Why do people consume the things they consume? Is the American consumer empowered to make decisions they want to make, or are they, as they call it, manipulated to choose the things they choose? If you ride a bike, you know that there are different types of bikes, different brands. You have the Suzukis, you have the Ninjas, you have Harley Davidson, you have the Indian motorbikes. There's different types of motorbikes. If you wear shoes, there are different types of shoes. If you drive cars, there are different types of cars. You wear clothes, and we all do this. But what makes us like a particular brand? What makes us, what draws us, what makes us consume a particular product in place of another? What makes us consume a particular product in place of another? The text talks about Coca-Cola, almost everybody favorite drink for a lot of people, and how they built the brand over time. from before the First World War and the role it played in the American society and the different advertisements that were put out there, the role it played in the Second World War, its role in different countries, but the brand has been built. It's an American brand. It is such a big brand. It has taken another nature. It doesn't just represent a company, it represents a people, Americans, Coca-Cola. So when the text was talking about the case in Venezuela, when the former Venezuelan president, Hugo Chavez, was thinking of seizing the Coca-Cola plant in Venezuela, to him, it felt like a move against the United States, because Coca-Cola has grown today to not just represent a soft drink, but to represent a nation, a people that's taken on the American identity. There are other products that have taken on that identity. Chevy, can say, has taken on that identity. Wrangler, Levi, have taken on that identity. So branding and marketing play a very important aspect, a very important role in our society. In chapter 2, we talked about symbols, and we said symbols are either articles or goods or that reflect, that tell a story about the holder of that article or that good. For example, if I'm driving an X-Class Mercedes now, it goes to show that, oh, I'm probably wealthy or well-to-do. Or those who drink Starbucks coffee, $5 a cup, are usually, so it has to do with some status in the society. The text also goes on to say some products, because they've been heavily advertised and heavily marketed and have taken on another nature, they tend to outgrow, they tend to be used in ways in which the company would not necessarily want them to be used. The case in the text or in chapter 5 was about Coca-Cola being used in civil rights, in the civil rights movement, in the videos and pictures during the civil rights movement. Coca-Cola became something of status. It became something that its presence reflected class or certain standards. Its absence reflected marginalization. Branding and marketing, governing the sovereign consumer. The consumer is supposed to have the will, the ability to decide on whatever they want, or whatever they want to do, whatever they need to do, or buy what you want to buy. But is the consumer sovereign? Are you really free to do that which you want to do? Or is that ability, that will of yours, when it comes to consumption of food, impacted by branding and marketing? Chapter 5 is all about that. Why do you consume what you consume? It talks about how we started with food markets and how the supermarket was developed. Piggy Wiley, and how the goal was to you walk into a supermarket and you have to shop yourself, and many people thought that would not survive or exist, but it did take off. But then it also talks about the introduction of to get consumers to consume more, supermarkets, or an inventor actually here in Oklahoma. Let me pull that up. Sylvian Goldman invented Sylvian Goldman invented the shopping cart. An Oklahoman invented the shopping cart. He also invented the he also invented the baggage cart that you see at airports. Sylvian Goldman was from Ardmore, Oklahoma. His wife from Stillwater, Oklahoma. But he made a significant impact on consumption in the United States. Now, people drive to the to stores and then pick up a card and everybody pushes it and you pick up and you fill up your card based on what you need. But what you buy in the supermarket, what guides what you buy? Brand name? What does brand name really matter? If you go to Walmart, do you buy great value stuff? Or do you buy brand name stuff? If you have to buy yogurt, do you buy great value yogurt? Or do you buy another name brand? Yoplait, for example. Is there a difference in the taste based on brand name? The text goes further to talk about in talking about consumerism and food and society. It talks about advertisement and how products are being advertised to kids, targeted advertisement. If you've watched TV recently, you've seen that there have been certain adverts that have been put out against tobacco, teens consuming tobacco, and vaping, because the tobacco industry has been marketing to youths, to teens, talking with flavored tobacco products. And of course, this has lured teens and young adults to consuming of tobacco. But it's not just that. The text, chapter 5, also talks about how these industries market to babies, to kids. McDonald's, Burger King. If I take my sons to Walmart, if I take or any other shop, they'll buy anything they've seen on TV. For example, for if Colgate wants to sell a lot of toothpaste or toothbrushes, guess who they put on them? Ryan or PJ Masks or something that attracts or gets the attention of these kids. Branding, marketing. There are a couple of key terms in chapter 5. Consumer culture. We have a culture in which it's just buy, consume. Buying has been made very easy. Our consumer culture is examined on page 93. And when a society has a stronger consumer culture when commercial products and practices of consumption are important symbols of values, norms, identity. So we have a consumer culture in the United States because practice of consumption, of going out to eat, of buying a particular brand of shoes, or buying a particular brand of clothes, have become important. We've tied value, we've tied identity to what kind of phone you hold, what kind of restaurant you eat in. And then mass marketing. Mass marketing on page 94, which refers to how food corporations, marketing firms, and retailers seek to encourage broad consumer desires for branded goods. Super Bowl, I love commercials. I love Super Bowl, not necessarily because of football, but because of Super Bowl commercials. Consumption is pushed, it's advanced. Talk about brand and symbol. And then there's category management. You know what category management? When companies and producers and retailers come together and agree that this set of products complement each other, or are together, can be sold together. So we create an aisle for these products. Frozen vegetables, frozen fruits, and you find frozen fruits, you find frozen juices, you find and all these things that are related. What is that meant to do? To get you, the consumer, to buy. And then private labels, great value. It's an example of a private label. So when you go to Walmart, you can buy great value stuff. That's a private label for Walmart. You can only find great value brands in Walmart. There is also Dollar General brands, DG, private label. And we also have CVS brands, private label. We also have Walgreens brands, private label. You see, all these things, what you buy, great value products, a great value rice, or I don't know, let's say toothbrush. There's no good. What can we say? What example? Let's say cereal. You can buy great value cereal from Walmart, and you can buy Dollar General cereal from Dollar General that probably has a DG, yellow DG sign on the box, and you can also buy CVS brand of cereal. They are branded different, but the chances that all three cereals are made by the same, come from the same factory, very high. But because they understand the importance of branding, they know that branding and marketing affect what consumers buy. Spearmint, government, chewing gum, candy. Where do you usually find them in consumer stores? Well, if you go into Walmart, you can easily find those in an aisle where you find all sorts of sugary stuff, candies and chocolates and all. But you also find them around checkout. Strategy, eye-level stuff. Brand ambassadors. How do all these affect what we consume? How do all these direct the things we consume? It's what chapter 5 is all about. Read chapter 5, listen to this lecture, do the exercise. Please let me know if you have any questions. I am here to help us go through it. If you have any questions, if there's an assignment you don't understand, let me know. Of anything, let me know. You are not alone in this. Thank you all for your time, and I'll see you in our next lecture. Bye-bye. Have a great weekend.